The next remarks are from Anna Gatti, who's the co-founder and CEO of Etsira, pioneering precision mental health startup dedicated to advancing psychiatric care through the integration of neuroimaging and AI. And that is what she's going to talk to us about. A bunch of you will know Dr. Gatti. She did her postdoc here at Stanford. I actually met her right after she left Stanford and she went to WHO, the first economist to work at WHO in the mental health space. And she was there at a really interesting time in Geneva, where she built the sort of socioeconomic evidence to drive policy innovation in mental health. She came back to Silicon Valley just maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe a little more than that, and has been in a bunch of companies here, Google, Skype, and YouTube, all of which have deepened her understanding of social media's impact on brain health and showcase the promise of AI and transforming mental health diagnostics interventions. She has dual PhDs in Business Administration and Criminology. I bet she's the only one in the room with that background. No, there's somebody else? No, okay. And has just had a relentless commitment to using AI for good. Anna, great to have you here.
Thank you, Tom. It was a little bit more than 5 years ago, but time flies. When I came back, the last time we saw each other was in Geneva. So thank you, Tom, and thank you to Stanford and our host for bringing all of us together here. And a special thank you to each of you in this room, not only because you're still here after such intense day, but because if today, this panel title is The Path from Mental Illness to Mental Health. This path requires each of you to be part of the journey. Clinician, scientist, patient, payer, as Tom has reminded us, investors, and entrepreneurs like me. So as Tom told us, my journey toward precision mental health started in a rather unexpected place, because when I finished my study here, I joined WHO. And I was the very first economist hired in the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. I wanted to work in that department because I witnessed my mother struggle with severe depression for the moment I was born to the moment she died. Trial after trial, day after day, with no end in sight and no real improvement, honestly. And I thought, and I still believe, that there should be a better way. There should be a better way. So when I joined WHO, I work on calculating the economic burden that mental disorder bring on our society. And I ran the cost-effective analysis of the protocols that we're still using today. And in doing that, I ran at first in the problem that haunted me the most, the lack of objective and replicable measures. So that was a real problem, because diagnosing and treating mental disorder felt like guesswork compared to the work that other departments at WHO were doing. And that made really difficult for mental health to sit at the same table of physical health. Tom mentioned that, right? It's different. The way mental health work, the way mental health innovate is different. So I was young. I thought I wanted to change the world. I thought that at WHO, I couldn't at that time. And so I joined the company here, high-tech company in Silicon Valley, where I had the opportunity to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of applying artificial intelligence, honestly. Because one of the team I led at YouTube was called audience development, which is a fancy, nice way to say how to get you and our kids to spend as much time as possible in front of videos. And we know that that is not the best way for our mental health. So, I was very frustrated because now I had the tools, but I was applying to make mental health worse and not better. And when I met Dr. Williams at Stanford, joining forces actually seems very natural. So together we founded EdCere. EdCere is short for two Latin words, et cerebrum, and the brain, to remind ourselves that we should start from the brain and not from the symptoms in order to address mental health. So we found that EdCere with the conviction that we can shift from a trial and error, endless system where is almost an artisan way to diagnose and treat mental health, to precision mental health with predictable and curable outcome for those affected. And we use neuroimaging and artificial intelligence to do that. So how do we do that? Well, we already heard a lot of that this morning from the different speakers, but let me summarize a little bit here. So basically, imagine to walk in a standard MRI facility and get a routine scan. You get your scan, you walk out. Before we saw that it's a paradigm of about 50 minutes, so 20, 25 minutes scan. You walk out. In 10 minutes, your doctor receives a report with your brain biotype and recommended treatment. So in less than 10 minutes, our AI platform acquire the images, the raw imaging, process them, quantify brain circuits, identify brain biotype, and match recommended treatment that are effective in less than 10 minutes. So we do that based on the Dr. Williams patents that we licensed from Stanford, and is based on all the science that you heard this morning, so I'm not going through that. But the impressive thing is the speed, right? Because AI helps us to basically turn a process that is very slow, and despite very precise, and to make that clinical grade. We don't need any special equipment in the scan room. There is no customization, and there is no requirement for special equipment that is not already there. It's just integrate with the radiology flow. So, but speed is important, but it's not the only thing that AI help us deliver to bring, to translate this research into clinical practice. In the research pipeline, to process one scan, there are 5 steps, and each steps require human intervention. Start to finish, this can count for more than 25 hours of research time for one scan. So you can understand that this is not very scalable, and it opens to human error at each steps. And so what we have done with this platform is basically compress these 5 steps in one step. We acquire the raw data from the scanner, and we get the process, identification of the brain biotype, the recommendation of effective treatment, and we deliver the report. So that again is not only speed, though that, as I remember, the system does that in less than 10 minutes. It's not only speed, is reliable, is reproducible, and is scalable. 3 things that are so important in order to translate research into clinical practice. Matching the tailoring treatment to brain biotype does not only improve outcome, it doubles remission rate, doubles. And it also cuts the times of years of trial and error in weeks of predictable outcomes. This system also allows us to do another things, to bring finally mental health at the same table of physical health. That table where I couldn't find a seat, where I was at WHO. And this is very important to try to improve also adoption, but we will talk more about that. EdCere is a T-score, a data company. We are based on more than 6,000 standardized brain data set, and this number is growing every day. So we used this data set to basically quantify brain biotypes, to train and validate and develop foundational model to get a faster identification of effective treatment for each biotype and subbiotype. and also to identify digital biomarker to make brain health easier to measure. Other presenter mentioned that before earlier. For example, we already identified one digital biomarker for the cognitive biotype that account for 1 out of 5 adults with depression. So our goal is to identify digital biomarker for each brain biotype in order to allow that scale that Tom was referring to. The benefit of using AI to translate the great research and the patent that we heard about all day long is clear, right? It's an effective way to stratify patients. Is really having a predictive system model that can match a brain biotype to effective treatment, and that allowed it turn in doubling remission rate. And also honestly open to new opportunities for drug discovery and repurposing. But let's be clear, and I go back to Tom's question. AI and data are not enough to innovate in mental health, are not enough for adoption. We need more adoption in clinical trial to really expand, and one of the audience asked about that, right? To expand the application of this standardized and reproducible method also in other populations like youth and teens. We need to work with insurers. Tom mentioned that. If it's not paid, it's not going to be adopted. And so this is what we started. Basically, even before having the FDA approval that we're working on, we start working with insurer because it's essential, especially in this market, and especially in this country. Partnering with health provider and health system, Tom mentioned that, right? We need to have health providers to pilot more effective innovation, especially when innovation is grounded in science and validated like the one we are talking about. And we need education and advocacy, because without education, not even doctors are willing to embrace innovation. And without advocacy, patient will feel behind. So together we can build a better way for mental health, but we really need to work the entire ecosystem. And it's not enough to have great innovation. We need to start, as was mentioned before, we need to start from where this innovation can be adopted. Thank you.